Welcome to the Waiting List podcast. Tell us a story.
It's like many things you start building from scratch.
And then I'm like, wait, I really do like watches because
You've seen so many watches that makes you excited.
I think I really do like watches.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to see if you are a watch enthusiast. Right, welcome back to another episode of the Waiting List podcast. I'm joined with the usual suspects, Alex and Lung Lung.
Hi.
Hello there.
And before we start, I think we'd all like to say thank you to all our listeners who took the time to write into us. We even had like one dude he said like park his car or something before he gets to work and he has to finish the episode before he even gets to work. Not sure, we condone that kind of action, but it's still great to hear.
Thank you very much.
Should fire him.
But it is like simply amazing, right? Kind of on the same vein, it would be really great, if as listeners you could subscribe and follow the podcast so it drops automatically when we release a new episode. And if you really like it, then leave us a nice review. It does make a big difference. Right, now that's over with, we can introduce today's guest who requires no introduction. Sounds so cliched, but he actually doesn't, right? I mean, he's already famous through his Instagram account. It's no other than Horoloupe, actually Austen, right, himself. So welcome, Austen, to the Waiting List podcast.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say before we start anything that this podcast is actually amazing. And during my 2 weeks in quarantine, I listened to it. I listened to almost every episode, while watching like YouTube videos or while playing video games. It was just in the background. It was, it was very soothing listening to your voices.
I don't think that's a compliment, like doing something else whilst listening to us.
No, because normally I listen to music, right? So the fact that I switched from music to a podcast, it says a lot about
You actually missed
content.
my voice, right, Austin?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Very
it was
soothing,
you.
right?
Of course.
Yeah, I knew it.
He was only facing me and you. He wasn't facing Alex when he said that.
Yeah.
So,
No, you actually have the most soothing voice.
So actually, and also want to put out there that Austin hasn't seen the questions. He doesn't know what's coming.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah,
But he's game for everything.
I'm a little scared.
Okay. So we're going to go straight into it. So we're meeting today in Hong Kong,
Yes.
right? What brings you here? Because I think you plan to stay for a little longer than just a holiday. And obviously you put yourself through the quarantine.
Yeah. Well, I started a new company and that requires me to be pretty much based in Hong Kong. It's a platform, and so the development and all of the back end stuff that's happening in China. And so I flew back in March to pretty much handle all of that. And then, but all of the, PR, like all of the networking and all of that will be in Hong Kong. And so that's why I'm here. It's for work. But also because I love Hong Kong. I was born here and I have a attachment to the city. And so, yeah, I mean, going back now.
I'm due to head back in 2 days' time.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't because I knew you were coming.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I have to head back.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
Yeah, you're right. He just made that up. He was like, Austin's coming.
Shit,
Go.
Austin's coming.
Yeah.
Right. So will we still see you in Shanghai? And how often?
Well, I mean, of course, right? Most of my stuff is still there. Most of my watches are still there. But it depends on whenever the borders open, because I do not want to do another 14-day quarantine in Shanghai, because at least in Hong Kong you can choose to do it in a hotel or in your own home, so it's okay. You can still at least pick your standards. But in China, you just
Anywhere will do.
Anywhere. So good luck, Daniel.
Wait, what? So what was it like in Shanghai, the quarantine?
I mean, I did it at my home in Shanghai,
that's right.
because
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they changed the rules.
His home's a real prison.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah. Real
Yeah.
shithole, mate.
Yeah.
I was gonna say no internet, then I was like, someone in this room has
Did you
no
hear
internet at
that
home.
part where he said that in his interview he doesn't have internet at home?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So many people have come up to me and said, we're talking about Alex here, right? Like
donations.
unbelievable.
Man, you know what?
Has this guy really made it? Because like he can't afford internet.
Like a GoFundMe page.
Actually, can we do a Patreon?
I mean, back to Hong Kong. Like, obviously, you're Shanghainese.
Yeah.
You'd say you're Shanghainese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say the two differences between the cities are, and what will you miss?
Well, so I love both cities, right? I mean, a lot of Cantonese people, they either came from Guangzhou or a lot of them came from Shanghai as well. And so, I think both cities are they're historically tied together. I mean, even HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, right? And I think they're good and bad, I think, because I think both cities are very materialistic. Hong Kong, I think, more so than Shanghai. And it's all about, what watches you have, what bag what bag you're carrying, what shoes you're wearing, and all of that.
So you should do all right here then.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Right in.
You're gonna drive here.
No, but because of that, I think people fail to dig deeper, and they actually mostly judge people on the surface. And I think that happens both in Shanghai and in Hong Kong, and I don't like that.
Okay.
Because when you're making friends or whatever, it shouldn't be about what they have or who they are, who their family background is, who their family is, or what their background is, but it should be about who they are as a person. That's why I really respected Chester's podcast, because he doesn't give a fuck. If he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And so, there's very, very few people like that in Hong Kong.
Thankfully, I'm in the box that he cares about.
We don't know that yet. Yeah.
But yeah. And
How about like
food?
yeah.
Shanghai and Hong Kong are both phenomenal food cities, right?
Yeah.
It depends, because the stuff that I really love in Shanghai street food wise
Yeah.
is, like xiaolongbao,
面条.
yeah, like 葱油拌面, all of that stuff, and 生煎馒头. But in Hong Kong, it's like, the equivalent in Hong Kong, which is just like dim sum, right? Like I love dim sum, just any type of dim sum. And so for the, more local stuff, I think I actually, if I can choose to have one for the rest of my life, I'd probably pick Cantonese food, like dim sum stuff, just because it's, I guess, less oily and, it's more steamy.
It's less heavy.
Yeah, it's less heavy.
Yeah.
Because like shinjian mantou is like literally drenched in oil, right? Like that's how they make it.
What do you always order when you have dim sum? Like what's one thing?
Siumai is for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Depends on, I love liu sha bao,
Oh yeah.
but
Somehow.
but there's like this place called Sun Hing in
Yeah.
Kennedy Town. They open at 4 a.m. and close at like 3 p.m. And they have the best liu sha bao I've ever had.
Gotta
It's like
try
super
it.
local, and it's
Yeah.
like the tables are disgusting, but the
Nice.
food's amazing.
But it adds to the character when that happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's the whole atmosphere. But actually, talking to that point about
Mhm.
like the difference between the two cities, and he mentioned that materialistic side. I want to ask you, put that to the floor. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think in Hong Kong, very easy for people to discover who's it with just what they're wearing. And they use that as kind of like a benchmark of how to grade you.
Then you made it, Alex.
Well, no. I
You
do it
have
from
made
a
it.
different perspective. But like Austen mentioned, I agree. You have to find the ones that know it deeply enough to actually build a strong relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
I think my only comparison is Singapore, right? Singapore is pretty similar to Hong Kong. Like people are really materialistic, they're fake. But then I just think instead of being worried about people out to get your money, right? You just like fuck it, who cares, right? Because you can smell the shit from like ages of, like from far away.
Yeah,
you
you
know
love
what
smelling shit, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. But you just know, like, when people have bad intentions. Like Chester's like instant, like he has this like shit sensing thing as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You see on his face, he's just like, fuck off. It's literally like that, right? Right, so we got Hong Kong and Shanghai out of the way. Let's actually move on to you. There's a lot of material out there on you now, right? Because you're so like
Yeah.
the hot thing. I think you just came out on Tatler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing, but
I don't know.
But anyway,
It
well
was
done.
It was a good photo shoot. So
Yeah, you look
Made-
good in it.
made me look
Yeah.
skinny. So
That's what, yeah.
But
that's
what
the
you're saying, you're
criteria.
not skinny.
no.
But actually, not many people know that you actually come from a single parent family,
Yeah.
right? I don't think there's any material on that, right?
No.
Yeah, so I think that's quite a personal and private thing. How was that for you? Because you're also mixed as well. Growing up
Yeah.
in China, single parent family, how did you find that experience? And
I'm-
I know that your father wasn't there very early.
Yeah, he was never in my life. I haven't seen my dad since I was maybe 1 or 2. And so ever since, like, he has not been part of my life in any way, shape, or form. And so my biggest role model in my life is obviously my mom, right? Because everything that I have and the person that I am today is because of her and because of her upbringing. And she didn't raise me hating my dad. She was just very neutral, said that, they had their differences. And when I asked her why, because I found out through my own personal experiences that he's actually an asshole. She said that she didn't want to raise me hating someone because then I'd probably turn to some like serial killer or like, you know. And so, but I mean, going back to growing up in Shanghai, you know, right now I think it would be very different if kids were going to school. But it was tough in the sense that back then I was the only kid in class with a single parent. Everyone had a dad and a mom.
Right.
And so, you know, like I remember the first day of class, like in grade 2, in grade 2 when I transferred to a British school. They're like, oh, like they gave me like a piece of paper with like outlines of 2 people. One is your dad, one's a mom. And then it was just like an outline, and it was like draw their like features or like whatever. And I just left my dad blank because I was like, I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like stuff like that was like kind of tough growing up. But obviously, you know, like my outlook on life is that everything happens for a reason. And so I wouldn't be who I am today if my dad was in my life. You know what I mean?
At the same time, you don't actually know what it's like to have a dad in your life.
No,
as well.
I don't.
So it's you, that is your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, most of my motivation comes from being able to, in the future, provide the best life possible for my mom, because that's what she did for me, right? When I was growing up.
That, you know, I know your mom, and I know the relationship you share with your mom. It's, you can definitely even feel it.
Yeah.
Like it's so close.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think your dad will try and look for you?
He reached out to me last year.
Yeah.
And I still haven't met up with him. He made me wait my whole life. I can make him wait a year.
Yeah. All right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I'll do it when I'm ready, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to meet him, right?
Yeah.
He's still my biological father. He's in Hong Kong, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never met him, so I've only emailed exchange, but through the exchanges, you know,
you can tell.
I can kind of tell. Yeah.
So, I mean, Alex, you kind of have some experience of this. I think you're the only person that kind of may have some, relate to it. You know, how was that experience for you? You know, do you relate to what he's saying? And do you see differences between how you are as a person to people that have had?
Yeah, I mean, well, hearing Austen's mother must be a strong, powerful lady, because no way would have sussed that one out. Like how Austen's raised, I can definitely tell he's a strong character. So he could only have got that from someone that's equally as powerful. So I haven't met your mother, but I'm pretty sure she's a great woman. With me, I agree. I think when you do a lot of, let's say, family outings, when you have parents' day and stuff, it's very awkward because you're like almost like, yeah. Whereas it's like, how come everyone else has got a parent of sort? But I was quite lucky because I think, you know, being a young kid, I was very good at socializing even early on. So I used to go around my friend's house and just kind of see what they're doing. And they used to like look after me. And I don't think I used to talk about my family too often, but I think they can kind of know. But you just watch your mother work hard and you just kind of follow suit.
Yeah.
But when I first saw my dad, I think I was like 7. And then my mom goes, "Yeah, this is your dad, by the way." I was like, "Oh."
Could you see the resemblance between your dad and you? Like,
no, not really.
Features.
I think I'm adopted.
All right.
Like, because I don't want to talk. It's not my podcast, but like my mom's like 5'2", my dad's like 5'3", 5'4". So I don't know how I'm like 5'10". I don't.
No,
I don't
you're
know
like
how that
5'1".
works out. In London, I'm like 5'1". No, but no.
We were talking about another dude who was 5'4" before this podcast.
Yep.
So
who was
that? So no, oddly, I relate to Austen a lot. It is quite difficult, but I think isn't it what in the US isn't like 50% divorce ratio?
I mean, it's because I grew up in Shanghai, and so in Shanghai, it never. It's still
rare.
taboo today, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting, right? Because now if they did that exercise in school, right, there's a shit ton of mistresses now.
Yeah,
You're the son of a mistress. Barring that. Yeah, like,
and
actually.
not just that, like, you know, gay parents and all of that.
Yeah,
like
right.
now they would just have to have 2 outlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad is second wife.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, you know, back when I was growing up, it was easier.
But I'm not sure this is correct. I'm pretty sure I am. But I think Daniel Craig, who I consider quite masculine, I think he was raised by 2 gay.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm not sure if it's true. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I think
Was it men or women though?
2 men. So
you're Mr. James Bond though, so you should know that.
I'm Mr. James Bond. Jesus Christ. It's like, dude,
I think that's a thing I have to get into every single podcast. But talking about your mother, and like I said, you have a super strong bond with her. She's such an important person in your life. I also remember you're telling me that she started out as like a waitress or something, right?
Yeah.
And then do you mind? Because obviously she went into do bigger and better things.
Yeah.
And I think if people heard that, wow, she started there, and then where she ended up. So
Yeah.
could you just detail that to the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a classic American dream story, I guess. She went to America because she was a very good painter. And so her college actually sent her to the US from China in 1979, like literally the year that it opened to the West, right? And my mom was 20, and they gave her like 20 or 30 USD, she forgot how much, to buy, you know, paper and pens and all of that and start painting. Didn't give her any money for rent or any money for anything. And so my mom didn't speak a single word of English. And so she got to America and she just didn't know what to do. So she had to make money. She went to the paint supply store and she couldn't even buy anything pretty much.
Could she speak English?
No. But the $20 or $30, like she needed food first, right?
Yeah.
And there was, you know, painting supplies in the US are a lot more expensive than they were in China, right? And so she pretty much couldn't do anything. She didn't move to Chinatown on purpose because she said if she moved to Chinatown, she would probably never learn English properly. And so she moved to, you know, just a very, like, you know, white neighborhood, I guess, and became a waitress. And then eventually, you know, fast forward 15 years, like she was the managing director of Warner Brothers Asia, and she brought like Coca-Cola, Budweiser, Marlboro cigarettes to China, and she was like the first person to bring in foreign TV shows, foreign media to China.
That's
And
insane. That's
so,
so cool.
Yeah, like I respect her a lot for doing that, and yeah.
Did you grow up drinking a lot of Coke?
Or doing something else with a certain type of different Coke?
No. I grew up watching a lot of like Warner Brothers cartoons, like Bugs Bunny.
Cool.
Like,
So all the things that came in were vetted through you first. It's like, Mom, this is shit.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't gonna work.
but I think that's why I have an American accent, because I've been going to a British school my whole
Oh
life.
yeah, you went to
Right?
Dulwich,
It was
right?
a British school my whole life, so I was
Yeah.
raised. My English accent, I think, was TV. TV taught me my accent. It wasn't, you know.
But then you know
anything else.
Chris, yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't speak with a British accent either.
But I think it's an international
'cause
school
you-
thing, because my school was a
No.
British school, and then I never picked it up
Yeah.
because international
Yeah.
school people are just it's a
Yeah,
mix,
I guess
right?
I guess that has to do with it as well. But it's
Yeah.
also because of when you're learning the language, it depends on what
Exactly,
you're watching. Like I
what
was
you're
watching a lot of
watching.
TV. I was, you know, like all of that, and so it was all American accents. So
Actually, that touches on my next question, because obviously you grew up in international school, and
Yeah.
something, you know, you were talking about that particular environment. I think only Lung Lung also shares that experience.
mhm.
What was that like in terms of building relationships? Because I think a lot of listeners probably maybe have never been to international school,
Mhm.
and the fact is, you know, there's a lot of people there who are on the children of people on expat contract,
Yeah,
so they maybe stay a couple of years and then they move on. People are constantly going,
yeah,
but you and Lung Lung were actually there for the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
So when I went to school, and I'm sure this is the same with Alex, you know, the friends didn't change. Like
Yeah.
literally, like 6 years, 1-2 people left
yeah,
for whatever they might have moved,
mhm.
yeah, but it wouldn't have been, you know, left the country, you know.
yeah,
So what was that like? Because you already have, obviously, you didn't have a dad in your life.
yeah,
You then have the people coming in and out of your life.
yeah.
You get to teenage years, there is a sense of I want to be part of a group. You need that security,
Mhm.
but you never really had it. So what was it like?
I mean, that's a great question. I never
know.
really thought about it.
I'm good at these.
But I mean, yeah, going to an international school, you have to be very used to people coming and going all the time. But for me, I didn't really have that many friends until grade 6, grade 7. Before that,
What age is that? So that people know.
I don't know, like
I think that's
12,
just under
13.
14, so
Yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before then, because you know I was very fat, like actually like obese, right?
How
And so
fat?
no, like literally like
Michelin
obese.
man.
Yeah.
Aren't you obese now?
No, now I'm just slightly overweight.
Generously
Confuse
proportioned.
people.
Generously
Big
proportioned.
boned.
Big bone. That's the one.
Big bone.
No, but I was always very fat, and as a kid, you know, it sucks being fat. Like you just don't make friends.
So you really attribute
It
not
was-
having friends because you
Yeah.
were fat.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, at least
because
he's
I was
honest
fat.
about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, like it's true. It's
No, I'm just saying he thinks that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it's not my personality.
Oh my god, he hopes.
But yeah, I mean, I was very reserved, and I got more comfortable in my own body, and then I started making friends, I guess, in grade 6, grade 7, around that age.
Is that when you started to lose weight? Is that what you're saying as well?
No.
Then
I
you got
lost weight way later.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was very blessed that one of my best friends now, up to today, Johnny, and another one of them, like Daniel, not you.
I want to make that clear.
Yeah,
Touche.
like we were in a friendship group of maybe about 10 people, but those two have been my best friends ever since.
Yeah.
And even today, like we don't live in the same place, but I was very blessed to have them go stay in Dulwich, my school, until graduation. But within our friendship group, on the other hand, like the other 8 to 10 people, whatever, they would come and go all the time, and we would be, we'd still be great friends. We still keep in contact now, but it was different in the sense that expat families, when they leave, they give them at least a year's notice, or it's not like,
okay.
and so the kids would know. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, like I'm moving at the end of this year or the end of this school year, and then so because of that, I think mentally we would create like, hey, we're gonna stop.
You withdraw.
Yeah, we start withdrawing a little bit. But I guess what the good thing about an international school is, besides people coming and going, is that you learn about a lot of cultures, and you become very accepting of different people at a very early age. And I think that is something that if you don't go into an international school, you don't experience until you go to college. And
Sorry,
Yeah.
did you find, like, as you was growing up, did you put a lot of defenses up? So you really were selective of who were your friends and how you actually bonded with them?
yeah, I mean, at a certain point, I guess, because, people started like backstabbing me and like all of that, like, like society in real life, right? But I think what's good about international schools, you put up defenses, but it's good in the sense that it actually prepares you for the real life, because in real life, like, people come and go all the time as well, right? Especially now more than ever, pre-COVID, where people were traveling all the time, pursuing their own careers and opportunities in different places. And so that kind of gave like it was like a training course to real life, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, like, of course my defenses were up naturally, right, because of my family circumstances and all of that.
Yeah, there's another thing as well. It's like the expats, they're not as rich as the people that stay in the whole generally, right?
Yeah.
And so they do get targeted a little bit. The different group, yeah. Is that fair?
Actually, for us, like, I mean, my group was very, like, it was like all expats besides
okay.
Johnny, Daniel, and I. Like, I think
Yeah.
we were the only 3 that were,
Yeah.
not from an expat family,
Yeah.
but everyone else was.
And like talking about the time, China went through a huge development.
Yeah.
Even when you were there, in terms of DTL, all this
Yeah,
kind of
everything.
thing, the whole infrastructure changed in
Yeah.
a very short space of time.
Mm-hmm.
So you had like maybe like some friends that were expats. They then left. They only experienced very small portion of that development, right?
Yeah.
So when you now talk to them, do you find that yeah, it's not like that? It's hard to relate to what you're saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, also considering like my age, like a lot of my friends are still doing their master's degrees, and the ones that are working, they're, it's just very like entry level job. Nothing wrong with that, right? And so already it's a very big disconnect when I try to talk to them, besides, a select few. But because of that, I think, I mean, it's like, it's hard in the sense that they're always like, saying, oh, I miss Shanghai, like all of this, like, oh, I miss this restaurant, I miss this bar. I'm like, bro, it doesn't exist anymore. Like, on the surface, it's like that because it changes so
Yes,
fast,
it does,
right?
Yeah.
Like the street I grew up on, Chululu, right?
Yeah.
In Shanghai.
Chulu, yeah.
When I was growing up, that was literally the streets. There was one store that stayed the same throughout all these years. Every other store changed, and that one store was a sex shop. And I would drive past it every day going to school. I still remember it's called Huaguang Health, like sex health product shop or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Was that your sex education right there?
and every day driving to school in the school bus and then driving back, we'd go past it, right? That was the only store that changed. It never renovated. And every other store on the block changed. And when I was growing up, it was all fruit stalls and like, you know, like those like really sketchy like vegetable stores and like selling like that kind of stuff. And now it's like, you know, Found 158.
Yeah, well, Found 158 is
it's like a mini LKF kind of.
Oh, okay.
Party zone.
So they
Yeah.
cleaned it up.
And no, but it's sad
Yeah.
because it's like a lot of the old places where they served amazing noodles and like, you know,
Yeah.
dim sum. That's all
Yeah.
like hype stores now where they sell Supreme and
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so everything changed besides that sex store, which now is gone. So I was really shocked. I was
Probably
like, what?
listed now. It's like it did so well. Say, right? I'm not sure if I can explain this properly, but then with international school kids, right? Like when you're growing up, right? You're thinking like you know, right, that you're living in a bubble. Like you know that they're thinking a certain way, and in the back of your head, you're like, I really want to make it. I want to hustle. I want to make money. But then you know they're not thinking that, so you're trying to fit in, and then you graduate, and then many years later, you look back and you're like, wait, you're still doing the same shit. Like
Yep.
not to be mean,
Yep.
but you're like everyone's exactly the same, super relaxed. And then you just feel like you still want to be friends with them, but there's a disconnect
Yes.
on some levels.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
So that's your kind of take on that, right?
yeah.
Did you build many long-lasting friendships? I mean, I'm just wondering, just curious whether it's different for a girl.
No, it's
Or
the
not
same.
really?
Like it's you want to be friends with them, but then you feel like, okay, when I hang out with them, I have to just be like, okay, I'm
A
just
certain
here to
type
have
of-
fun. But then when I leave, I actually go back to my real life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like when I'm with him, I'm just like getting fucked up and like just drinking and partying and, you know, but not at like nice places, at like dive bars, like, you know, probably drinking fake alcohol. But
So
know.
how would you actually describe your own personality?
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
I don't know. I think I'm very like reserved. in
Okay,
this
wait, let's
sense.
start with how do you think when people open your Instagram and they see your page and your stories, right? What do you think people think about you?
Nah, most people think
Yeah.
I'm like a lot older than I am. That's something that I've been
Okay.
hearing like all the time. But if they don't
Yeah.
know and they think I'm like in my 40s or 50s, right?
Yeah.
I think you're in your 40s, 50s.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think I take pretty good watch photos.
Yeah.
And at least I'm trying to improve it constantly. And for me, it's a stress release, I guess. Like, you know, some people drink alcohol to relieve stress. I just take watch photos because when I'm doing that, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just focusing on taking the best possible picture possible with the current lighting conditions.
Yeah. All right.
And, you know, and so for me, it's like an escape.
Lost in
Okay.
your craft.
Yeah.
Lost in your craft.
And so for me, that's why I love it so much. But I guess when people see it, I don't know, probably kind of colorful feed. Mostly like 60% of the feed is AP. 20% of the feed is like Patek and Rolex. And then the rest are indies.
So when people meet you for the first time, are they like, whoa, you're not a nerd, like with glasses and weird? Or are they like, yeah, this is what I expected?
No, I mean, it's different because right now, like especially like in like Hong Kong and Singapore, like when people actually like recognize me in restaurants or in bars or whatever,
Yeah.
it's because they've seen interviews like of
Oh,
me
okay.
like as a person, right? And so they just expect it.
Okay.
But before, like when I was anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
which I was for 2 years, they would have no idea. They would be like, "Oh my god, this is not what I expected."
Mm-mm.
Like, you know, and
Yeah,
so
I've been privy to that because there's
Yeah.
been loads of events where, people have asked me
Yeah.
because they don't know who he is, they don't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's quite funny actually. Because-
Ooh, yeah.
Well, because you see that human nature get that fascination of someone that's a celebrity or some fame, yeah, and they change immediately. But they wouldn't have changed if you didn't tell them that.
Yeah.
Right? They change their behavior. They change.
Mhm.
They go like a bit nutty. They like, oh, can I take a photo? But they get all shy about it.
Is it like how Alex is behaving right now? Like smiling like
Sorry.
a creep.
Can I take a photo with you, Austen? You know, it's been one of those honors of mine. You know, it's like one of those checklists I have to do.
So yeah, I mean, but he's
Yeah.
always been quite. You've been on the fringes, haven't you? You
Yeah.
don't like being in the middle or the
No.
center. So you're on the fringes and you don't actively necessarily engage with anybody. So people probably don't think it matches with your Instagram persona. Would you say that?
I mean, the thing with me is that over the past year, I've become very careful of who I actually engage with just because there have been a number of people that I have met in the watch community. Like, first of all, the watch community, I have to say, it's changed everything, right? It's made the world from an impossibly like large round rock into something that is accessible just through your smartphone. The entire world, everyone living on this world, is, you can contact them through your phone, right? And so because of that, I've been very thankful that I've met some amazing people, you know, you two as well.
And me.
Yeah, and all of you.
Yes, I forgot about Daniel.
We met through a scammer. That's different. But
solid foundation.
yeah, solid foundation. But, you know, I'm thankful for that. But, you know, there's obviously also drawbacks to that. I've also met some horrible people.
Yeah, I know you have.
That have tried to mess up my relationships that I've had with people within the industry, tried to backstab me, like, you know, and because of that, you know, I'm not gonna name any names because that's just not how I operate, right? But those people exist, and because of that, I tend to be more careful of who I converse with. But I'm still obviously friendly, right? Like, if you approach me, I'm never gonna say, you know, like, I'm obviously I'll talk about watches. I'm very passionate about watches, but yeah, I don't like being in the spotlight, I guess, that much.
Yeah. How you know, you when you did your Instagram, I don't think you were thinking about how it could have turned out, right?
No way.
Because I was there with you. And how has fame kind of changed you, or how has fame, your interpretation of fame? Is it cracked out to be what it is?
Look, I don't think it's fame. I think it's just fame within this tiny niche that we call watch collecting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fame within this niche.
Yeah.
This ecosystem.
Yeah.
This
So
little
I'm talking about
ecosystem.
fame within this niche, the people within this niche. Like, is it how you expected, or is it, you know, different?
I mean, I don't really see it that way, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm still this. The only thing that's different is, I guess, as I'm sure you guys all are, we're more jaded when it comes to watches, just because we've seen so many watches, we've tried on so many watches. We're just less excitable, I guess. Whereas like, I think that's the only difference. But when it comes to events and stuff, and when it comes to meeting people in the watch community, like, I'm not gonna ever introduce, if someone doesn't know who I am, I'm not gonna be like, hey, I'm Horoloupe, like, you know, like, I'm Austen, like, you know, like, and we just have a conversation as we normally would. I don't think it's changed anything, just in the sense that I guess brands are taking notice, and the only difference is it's become a lot easier for me to approach brands, right?
Yeah.
And I guess in that sense, that's the only change. And with people, they obviously have their own perceptions. Like, some people think I get paid by AP, which I don't, and I'm saying that again on the record. It's my favorite brand.
Yeah.
So how much do you get paid?
That question coming from Daniel.
Yeah.
I mean, but okay, so I do want to raise that point, because you three, speaking of like Austen, Lung, and Daniel, because you are, you know, quite serious collectors in the world of the watch world. I mean, kind of in the.
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah.
You haven't put yourself in.
No, I'm not in, because I'm not in that atmosphere yet. So, do you have to be careful of what you say? Because there's a lot of watch brands which, you know, you may not necessarily like, but you won't necessarily say anything bad particularly about them, because it could be quite negative.
Because the thing is, it's like, at the end of the day, what people don't realize is there's a difference between constructive criticism and outright bashing. And that's it's just about life. It's the same thing as I treat Instagram and how I say and how I conduct myself and what I say with how I would do it in real life as well. You have to keep it politically correct in some way, shape, or form. And that's my own perception, because that's the only way, in my opinion, to continue growing and to continue to build something bigger than what I currently have built with my page. Because at the end of the day, people's jobs are at stake. You know, people don't realize that when someone is bashing on this, maybe that person spent years designing it. And the thing is, the watch community need to realize that watches are not designed for the watch community. Most of them are not.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
right.
something that really pisses me off, because brands, I don't know what the exact number is, but I'm guessing under 20% of any watch brands, you know, sales go to purists and nerds like us. Less, probably 10% or less.
Less. I reckon it's
right.
less than 5%.
Yeah. And so it's like the Instagram, like, social media aspect and the niche of that watch community is the 5%. It's not the 95. Like, when people, for example, just because we talked about it right before we came in, like the the new offshore that was released
Yeah.
by AP, right?
Yeah.
Like for their target audience,
It's
like
the
they
one
sold
that,
out.
Long Lights, right? Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
It's like it's for that watch is not for, you know, like a purist or whatever, but it's, you know, it's a fun watch, and it's for a watch that if you're on a yacht in Bali or in Mykonos or, you know, Ibiza, like it's a perfect watch for someone like that. And so because of that, that's a demographic, or I'm guessing that's one of the demographics that watch caters to. And so I understand it, and it's doing well. And so, you know, but that's most models for most brands. Like sometimes I see watch designs from like, you know, other brands like Richemont brands or whatever. I'm like, I don't understand this or why are doing it, but they still sell, right? They still have their own respective audience, and people's jobs are at stake at the actual brands when people shit on it. You know, when people are like, oh, this watch is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life, like blah, 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 blah. There is some person in Switzerland that has been told, hey, design a watch for this kind of demographic, make it kind of look like this and look like that. They're doing it, and then they're like, did I not do a good job? Did I, you know? And then the watchmakers as well, they're like, did I finish the watch poorly? Did I do something wrong? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it actually does affect people, and brands are not stupid in the sense that they will not design something and produce something if it was doing horribly continuously over a number of years. That just isn't how business works, and people don't understand that. Like JLC have 1 million models, right? They sell.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Like when people make these comments like, why is it 11 11 1 like with the offshore? I'm like, whatever you have thought about, believe me, like they have thought about this as well, and they can see what we see. It's just that they have to do it, right? Okay, so my question is, who are your biggest fans, like the demographic?
On my page?
Yeah, in general, people who DM you. There must be some kind of trend, like what age group and where are they from?
Well, let's check right now.
Who are your biggest fans, Long?
Like
95%
honestly,
males
I think
or
no,
females.
it's actually people who haven't gotten their first AP.
Okay.
That's why they think. So they think like, whoa, I have an AP, so they will ask me stuff. So I can see a certain demographic.
Specific to AP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of Indian people love AP. So I get a lot of Indian followers.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's a bunch of, a lot of AP fans, right?
Okay.
A lot of them send me their own. I love it when I get like maybe 1 or 2 message a day at least of people sending me a photo of their AP, and they're like, hey, check out my new AP. Like, you know, some of them are like, I bought this because of you, like all of this stuff. And I love that, right? That gives me, that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But there's another group, which is, I guess, smaller, but they're like the aspirational, like people. They're like, oh, like you're such an inspiration, like all that. I'm like, you know, they're like students or like, you know, in college, they're like, oh, like I just started my first job.
Yeah.
And I try to engage with everyone that DMs me, right? Just because I do that on the treadmill when I'm walking uphill on an incline. Because I can't run, because then I can't reply. But if I'm walking on an incline or I'm on the elliptical, like that's when I take time and actually spend time replying to comments or replying to DMs.
That's really nice.
And because I know how it's like starting out, like as a person with 0 followers, I DM'd all the bigger pages. They all ignored me, left me unseen, or just didn't, you know. When I actually had a genuine question, I was like, hey, like I love your photography, like what camera do you use, or like, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they would just always ignore me. So like, I don't want to be the guy that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to at least, you know, I'm trying the best to my ability to reply to most people. And then obviously there are people that are actually Patek lovers. A lot of Patek lovers message me because they're thinking of getting their first AP. Or a lot of people that are
Rolex collectors or something.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like people that are not AP fans message me to ask about which AP they should get and all of that.
How many messages do you get, like roughly per day?
I have no idea. It depends.
Because your notifications must be.
I mean, I turn them all off, right?
Yeah.
Like they're never on. I mean, I don't know. My top going to cities. My top city is Singapore. Okay. And then Hong Kong, Jakarta, New York, and London. So I guess they're all rich cities.
So if for our listeners, how do they get your attention? Like, what do they have to write for you to open the message?
Nothing. I browse most of it. Like, it's just like, it's so funny. I also get like a bunch of like people, I'm not gonna say which country they're from,
Yeah.
but they're messaging me like, hey, can you send me a watch like for free, or like, hey,
Oh, I get that a
I'm
lot.
like a-
yeah.
they're like, I'm a social media influencer, and then I look at their account, they have like 102 followers, and then they're like, I'm a social media influencer, can you send me a watch, I'll promote your product to my followers, I have a very high engagement rate. It's like, yeah, you have a high engagement rate, you have 10 likes per photo, but 100 followers. Like, that's a crazy
But going
engagement
back
rate.
to Alex's original question, right? Like, okay, anything that you put on social media has to have like some social responsibility.
Yeah.
It's different, right? If I'm talking to you guys here, because I know what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
But when you're on social media, you can't control, like, I don't know who I'm talking to,
Yep.
right? And therefore, I have to be careful what I say. But then you'd be careful with when you're out in society anyway, right?
Yep.
We have to be careful what you say. So I don't think it's anything different.
Mm.
And then when it becomes like watches, it's not that I'm not saying bad things about watches, but what I am is saying I'm respecting that other people like different types of watches. They might not be for me, but they probably will be for somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. And really, does my opinion really matter? So even on my social media now, I just can't be asked. Like, I just post it, pretty much ignore everything, and then I do it in thing, and then I just, because social media, the way it's designed, is designed to be, they want to get the engagement, so they need the impulse, right? And I try to refrain from that.
There used to be an elegance with watch collecting where, like you mentioned, actually when it was in like a rock, where you have to really do the research to discover what the watches were. Now with social media, it's kind of like mass market, and you've got these keyboard warriors can kind of say whatever they like about a particular piece. And sometimes that could be very negative. Because just say...
It's still very superficial, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not deep.
No,
so
most
if you
of
still
the-
have to do the research if you want to go deep.
99% of the time it's negative. That's
You're
the
right,
thing. It's
exactly.
like, it's
Thank you.
never
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
positive. And so it's changed a lot. Instagram for watch collecting has changed so much in the past few years.
But then I was looking at Watch Pro site,
Mhm.
and actually most of the comments there were pretty solid. Like they're pretty...
Like the forums.
Yeah, the forums were
Yeah.
actually...
You're on
like.
forums as well, right?
I always look,
Yeah.
Okay.
but I never post.
You're a
Yeah.
lurker.
I'm a lurker. Yeah.
Right. Because most of those feedbacks are actually pretty decent. They're not as...
Because, a lot of the people on the forums
Yeah.
are actually they're
Yeah.
actual end clients.
That platform also is more designed to have a debate,
Right.
proper debate with, and you have a moderator as well.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're flaming, is that the correct term? I don't know, but they'll just shut you down, right? But in Instagram, there's none of that. There's no moderation.
Yep. And people just say what they want to say. And a lot of the times people say things because they're jealous or they can't get anything, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I remember when I did my collaboration with AP, there was on Rolex forums, I was like reading the comments. I was like, this is like the worst thing. Like, people were like, yeah, like I'm sure like his dad just like gave him a bunch of money, and like, you know, like all of this stuff. Like, people don't know anything about my life, right? And they're just like making assumptions, right?
I actually know, like, because I've known Austen for a long time, right? People have used the fact that he hasn't got a dad against him.
Yep.
Mm.
Like, actually publicly, like, made fun of that.
That's low.
Chat shit about that.
People
And,
then, isn't
like,
it?
Yeah.
those people that I do know have done that, I might not have met them, but I definitely know it came from their mouth. Yeah, it's like, right, see you later. I ain't
Yeah.
interested.
That's
you know,
really
like,
low.
it's
Quite
ridiculous.
disgusting,
you
isn't
know?
it?
But that I'm saying that's how low some people can go.
Yep.
Right. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Right. But you kind of touched on this before. It was actually in my later questions, which was, you know, a lot of people don't have your mentality or, you know, your achievements at your age, right? And you are young. You're what? Go on, on the record.
23.
23, yeah. Are you 23 already this year, or are you still
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
be 24?
No, I'm turning 24.
That's
You
old.
know, I remember
man.
like I was just
Baby in the world.
pissing about at 24.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so does it make it a challenge to bond with people your own age?
Yes. 100%.
That's very quick.
Yes. Most of my friends are all a lot older than I am, which I love, right? I think that it's not that it's hard to bond, right? When it comes to like a lot of pop culture stuff and like all of that, it's easy, but it doesn't really get much deeper than that.
It's the depth, right?
Yeah. It's like if I meet someone else my age, like I'm not saying like it's just harder, right? There are a bunch of people that I know that are the same age as me that are like a lot more successful than I am, right? But there are also a bunch of people that are not. But I don't judge people based on their success or their like a preconception of what success is, right? Success is really just about happiness. You can be
Yeah,
the
agree.
richest person on earth, but if you want to, you know, if you're depressed or if, you know, you're not happy with your life, then what's the point of it all, right? It's about being happy. And so I guess it's just the vibes. I don't think on a so it's different. On a personal level, it's not that hard when it comes to being friends and like, you know, like going out, eating dinner, like grabbing meals and like, you know, that's fine. Someone my age or, you know, but when it comes to doing business, no way. Like that's hard to find someone my own age or similar to my age to actually be speaking on the same plane. But that's only because of experience. It's not because I'm smart. I'm not that smart. You know, like I don't think that I'm smarter than people my own age. It's just that growing up without a mom, without a dad, sorry, I felt like I had to mature a lot quicker, I guess. And so that's why I also started my first company at a young age, right? It was like all because of that. And if I didn't start my first company at the age of 15, then I would not be as mentally mature, I guess, as I am today. It's all about experience. It's not about the age or the IQ, right? So
the other day, I'm going off a bit topic, but I had to talk about this. Was you remember? I was with Chester, right? And we were having dinner with Thomas Perazzi, and afterwards we were having a smoke and just chatting and actually just enjoying the friendships that we had cultivated. And I realized something, because even though London wasn't there, but you know, I was brought up in England, right? But I'm Chinese, so it's not really my country. To some extent, you know, Chester, he's actually from China, but he spent his formative years in Singapore and then Canada. You know, we talked about Lung Lung. You know, she's Taiwanese Malaysian, but then grew up in Singapore. Again, not really your country. But then we were all around this table, you know, and I'm just thinking, does that background subconsciously, that experience you have, because it is different, affect your viewpoints and therefore makes you more open-minded? I'm not saying it definitely does. I'm just saying, is it? You know, and that's why we have lots of friends in the watch community, but there is a special attachment between all of us.
God, that's deep.
It is deep, right?
No, I think, I think the correct term is a third culture kid, right? Yeah, so you're basically from a certain country, you grow up in another country, right? I don't think it makes you more open-minded. A lot of the kids that I grew up with, I still think they're very close-minded. Like, okay, for example...
Yeah, I think it's education.
Yeah, it's education. It's your upbringing, right? So if you ask me now, can I live in any country? I'll say, yeah, any country where I can make money, right? I'm going there first. Because once you have money, you can live in any country and still live a really fucking good life, right?
Well, this is what... Okay, you talk about that point. So one of the things I feel, that the fact that I was brought up in a country that I don't really see my own, is that I don't really feel like I have a home. So I don't have... When I look at a country, I don't feel this subjectiveness, you know, this is great because it is my home. So I don't want to be too political, but maybe for some Hong Kongers, you know, maybe difficult. You know, I don't really, I understand, but then I don't understand. Like, you know, this is your place. But then for me, I just think, has this place got anything to offer me, right, at my age, right? You know, which is, because I don't think there is a perfect place.
Yeah.
Right. And I just go to where the opportunity that fits best for me. But then I don't think, this is my home. I have to be here. And that home has to change to my need.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. But you can decide where your family, like your home is basically where your family is, right?
I agree, yeah.
So you can create a home like anywhere.
No, but I mean, like, with that said, it's like we're all very blessed and fortunate to be able to do that. Most people can't.
Yeah.
You know, like they can't, they don't have that freedom to do so, right? They're born in a place, they're going to be there for the rest of their life, or for most of their life, right? Most people don't have passports, like, you know, they can't even fly. And we're all in a very fortunate situation, all of us at this table, that we, you know, have the opportunity and have had the opportunity to do that. And so it's up to us, I guess, to educate and to, you know, like express like our gratitude and be like, and how blessed that we are,
Yeah.
but also like understand that like most people are not like us. Like
stay humble.
stay
basically.
humble. Yeah. Like,
humility.
and it's just so if you think about, because I mean, when I do business or when I conduct conversation, like I always try my best to put myself in the other person's shoes, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the only way. I think, my one rule in life is to treat people how you want to be treated.
Mhm.
That's you just follow that rule, you can do, you'll do well. Like,
Yeah.
and when you're talking about Hong Kong, it's like a lot of the people, and same with China, same with any country, they have their viewpoints because of their upbringing and because of their situation,
Yeah.
and it's about it. You can't, it's hard to change that, and it's hard to shift someone's views and someone's perception and someone's mind being so-called closed when that's all they know. You know what I mean?
This is off topic again, but I'm kind of curious. Like for me, cause you're way younger than me, and then you already have made so much progress, like in your career, as compared to me when I was your age. So I'm trying, like, I can't even imagine what you want to achieve at the end. Like, what is your end goal?
I mean, my end goal is to be happy. I mean, the company I'm building now, I'm trying to eventually take public once that happens. And I think I'll just do a lot of charity work.
Okay.
One of the most fulfilling things I've ever done was, it was a school trip. We went and built houses we built a staircase in part of a school for this very rural village in Guilin. Guizhou. So the poorest province in China. And I remember that village didn't even have electricity.
Yeah.
The clothes were all, sewn by hand.
Yeah.
And it was a self-sustaining village. So they didn't really have the concept of money, right? They were just farming everything and eating everything that they farm. And I've never seen a group of people that happy in my entire life. That was pure happiness.
Yeah.
The look on the children's faces, they were not bombarded by advertisements, by Victoria's Secret, cover, shoots or whatever.
Yeah.
Guys with 6-packs on magazines. Like they didn't have any of that, but they were the most fulfilled and happy people I've ever seen in my life. And, I just feel like what I want to do is eventually achieve that level of happiness. Okay. And so through whatever means necessary, but
I think we're all in such.
Yeah. But
That's
I mean, on a personal level, it would be, on a professional level, it would be this current company that I moved to Hong Kong to pursue.
Very cool.
Right. So back to when you were at international school, you actually you mentioned that you started your company at 15. How did that come across? How did that come by?
I mean, it was kind of funny. It was because I was really fat, right? That's why I did it. Because, when you're 15 and you're a guy.
And fat.
What does every 15-year-old want to do more than anything? They want to have sex. Yeah.
They want to
I
get
want
laid.
to eat more. Since I'm fat anyways, might as well eat more.
No, but the one thing you want to do is you want to have sex. And
so a lot already, man.
And so back then, like, I didn't know how to achieve that because eating less and dieting and gymming wasn't even like, it never crossed my mind as the solution. That was not.
That wasn't the reason
eating
why
and
you were
gymming?
You're fat shaming him.
No. Well, you said no. I'm thinking like you didn't think about that. You thought it was another reason why you weren't getting laid.
No, I knew it was because I was fat, but I just love eating so much that was like, that was like, last resort, type solution. And so I thought of what wasn't a last resort solution. And back then, in 2012 or something, DJing became DJs started becoming really popular. And some of these DJs are like, man, like they're so ugly, but all the girls down there, want him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe I should become a DJ.
Right.
And then so I became a DJ. I self-taught myself how to become a DJ. And through that medium, I had to create a company. And
commanded respect right there.
And I think people want to know, forget that part. Did it get you laid?
Yes, it did. It did.
The answer is
Let's
yes,
cut
guys.
it short.
No, it did without me losing any weight. So yeah, that's the reason why. It was it wasn't because I wanted to make money.
Do you know what?
What?
Yeah. I'm investing in some turntables now. Turntable companies, because that stock is going to go up.
I'm telling you, pioneer. But no, that's why, right? And it just became more and more successful. But that was just an added benefit. That wasn't my goal.
But you ended up losing weight.
Yeah.
You're not as Michelin man now, are you? You're
No.
a little bit chubby, but you're not Michelin man.
No, I lost a lot of weight.
Have you guys even seen the photo?
No, I want to see
All right,
it
you
later.
see it afterwards, right?
Yeah,
You'll be shocked. But I mean, I was fat too. But what made you lose the weight eventually?
I mean, I was approaching the age of like, well, no, I was 16, 17, and I was like 220 pounds, I think, but like shorter than I am now, so like pretty short. And
5'1" then.
funny. And
I need to find out what this is about.
no, and then so I went to Japan, and that's when like I started because I was making a little bit of money. I had like some disposable income. I wanted to buy like shoes and like clothes and stuff like that. And I remember there was a trip in Japan where even XXXXXL, like the largest XL, was still so small, and I couldn't wear it. And so it was purely because I wanted to wear clothes. It wasn't because of health. And then so I was like, because of that, I just wanted to lose weight. And so, because the thing with me is like,
I think this is truly inspirational for people because like you're this fat kid, probably not the best looking, and you come from, we've already mentioned your family background, and yet you've done so well.
Yeah.
So it just shows to everybody that if you want to change your life,
You gotta.
you can do it.
Yeah, you just gotta.
Get some turntables.
Yeah, get some
Yeah.
turntables. Go to Japan.
and just realize
I
that.
I can get a medium sized T-shirt and just change the tag so it's XXXXL. So you put it on and feel shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should give you the motivation to do. I mean, we should make some T-shirts out of that.
Yeah, XXXXL.
The Waiting List podcast T-shirts.
Yeah.
Don't you
Triple
have-
XL.
I think you can sort that out, Austin.
Yeah, I can.
Right.
No, but yeah.
So was it instant, like on the spot, like I'm gonna start my diet now?
Yeah.
Oh, he
and
has that kind of personality.
yeah, if
Wow.
I'm gonna do something, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
fucking do it. I'm not gonna
Yeah, he's got that. Type
like
of
half-ass it. If I'm gonna do
Yeah.
something and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do it
Okay.
to the best of my ability. So like when that comes with everything, right? If I'm gonna eat food, I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
the best food.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
All right.
And so with
Yeah.
a diet was the same thing.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really hard. Moderation's really hard. I'm
Yeah.
either gonna like do it like 0 or
Yeah.
like 100.
Yeah.
Like, And so with losing weight, it was horrible. It was like it took 4 months and I lost 40 kilograms. It was like crazy.
Wow.
I was eating like I don't even know how many calories a day, but everything was like
Measured.
boiled. Everything was measured. It was like boiled because sous vide didn't exist back then, or at least
Yeah.
they weren't commercially available. And so I couldn't sous vide anything, and everything was boiled. So it was just chicken breast, egg, boiled veggies, and 1 fruit per week. And that was it. No soy sauce, no salt, because sodium
for the
makes
whole
you
week.
No, not for
No,
whole week, for 4
one
months. Sorry.
fruit per
okay.
week.
Yeah, 1 fruit per week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so I did that with working out twice a day. So in the morning
Oh.
before school
Yeah.
and then after school.
Damn.
And then for the first 2 weeks I got extremely sick because I think my body was used to like
Yeah, not used to
Yeah.
it.
carbs and
Yeah.
everything. And after those 2 weeks I didn't lose any weight, but then afterwards I was losing like 3 kilos, 4 kilos every week. And then once that happens, you naturally become very motivated.
Yeah.
But I took it too far. I lost too much weight. I was like
Yeah.
super like I looked almost anorexic at one
Nah,
point.
Yeah, I
you,
remember I
you
saw
can never
you.
be too skinny.
I saw you. Nah, he was.
I was too skinny. I was too skinny. And then I started
Yeah.
putting on more weight, and then I put on too much, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then, like
Got
it's
to do this all over again.
yeah, but not that much, right? But yeah, it's just motivation.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks and 3 weeks are the hardest. After you get past that,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Because your body's also talking to you, saying,
Yeah.
like give me sugar. Give
Yeah.
me,
Yeah, for the
carbs."
first
Yeah.
2 weeks. But the thing is, it's like your taste buds also change. Like the
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
body's amazing. Like, for example, I remember the first week I hated eating carrots, but then 3 weeks into it, carrots were sweet. With no salt, like you bite into a carrot, you can taste the sugar. But 3 weeks, but before you start the diet, it just tastes like nothing, right? Because I'm used to like soy sauce and like
Yeah.
ketchup and like all of
Yeah.
that, And so it's crazy. The best thing I've ever had in my life, I remember, was 3 months into the diet. It was like in the middle of summer in China, and peaches, right?
Oh.
yeah, 那个水蜜桃啊.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those
Peaches.
peaches that explode with
Yeah.
Juice.
Yeah.
right? And I kept it in the fridge
I
for
love
like
Japanese
3
peaches.
days.
Yeah, you gotta
Sorry.
put in.
So good. And it was that was like up to today, I think the best thing I've ever had in my life. Not like some truffle pasta. It was
Egg.
that peach.
Oh.
You do like a truffle and egg though.
I do.
Yeah. Right. So on the same topic of motivation, right? What advice would you give to our younger listeners or those trying to?
Lose weight.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think what is very important is you need to set yourself a short-term, medium-term, and long-term goal. Like, it's something that people tell you to do in school, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's so important because you need to kind of work towards something. If you don't have goals and you're just like kind of going with the flow, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You're just going to stay stagnant. And for me, it's like I always do, like on New Year's Day every year, like I look back in the previous year. And if I think that I was dumb or if I made some stupid mistakes within the previous year, then you're improving.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like I don't have a New Year's resolution because I think it's dumb to just focus on one tiny thing for the whole year, right? I have you have to stagger your goals, make multiple goals. And as long as you have goals,
It's a lifestyle.
Reflect on it, right?
yeah, just
Yeah.
reflect on it. Just don't ever, and always never be scared to be harsh on yourself because
Yeah.
your biggest critic should be you. It shouldn't be other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Listen to people's advice. Like I've made mistakes. I'm probably making a lot of mistakes now too, but I don't realize it until someone tells me or I notice myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to improve upon that, right?
Talking about mistakes and failures, because a lot of the stuff out there talks about how amazing you are, but like, what failures have you had, and how did they make you grow?
I mean, I've lost money many times, right? Through investing or through whatever. So on a professional level, I've created companies that have failed a few times. And I just don't talk about that on social media, obviously, or in interviews, but it has happened. Those are professional failures. Personal failures, I mean, it's really just about spending enough time with people that I care about, I guess, because I didn't do that for a long time and I really regretted it. So on a personal level,
Why did you regret it?
I regretted it because, I mean, either that person, I did have someone like a family friend that passed away, right? And so that was tough because she grew up with me like for my whole life. She was like my mom's best friend, right? And I didn't spend enough time with her nearly before she passed away. And so these experiences kind of like, they make you grow, right? And so they let me realize that, people that you care about or whatever, spend time with them. And then I realized when I was reflecting at that moment, it was like a lot of my friends in school that I cared about, I wasn't spending enough time with them either. And people that I cared about in general, like, if they were leaving to go to, families moving or going off to college, just spend time with them because life's about the relatielships that you build.
Yeah, and life
right?
is short.
It's short. And so
I
guess-
resonate with that because I didn't spend enough time with my grandfather
yeah,
before he died, so it's not something you can get back.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. So, where do you see yourself? This is the last question,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
10 years time.
Probably not a lot taller.
Hopefully, thank you. Hopefully,
Alex, you're
My
such a douche, man. You never
Yeah.
pour water for us, and it's a guest, and you're like
Yeah.
pouring water. By the way, he holds you in high regard because he doesn't do the people he doesn't like.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's true.
You
It's
know,
so fucking
yeah.
obvious.
but wait, let me take a sip of water that Alex just kindly poured.
Oh, look at this mutual respect. You
Yeah.
pour me water, I'll drink from the water. Look, continue this bromance after, please.
But I guess it's I guess professionally to see myself with this current company being, as successful as I want it to be right now, that would be one of the priorities. Another priority, obviously, healthy family, current relationships that I have, whether it's my girlfriend or whether it's my friends, to get even stronger and deeper, and for me to meet new people, cut out the toxic people out of my life, and just grow. Like, it just, life is a constant journey, right? And it's just a nonstop journey
Of self-discovery.
of self-discovery. So it's just, as long as I'm happier and I'm a better person, I think, than I am today, then that's where I see myself in 10 years.
I want to ask, because I don't think we can end this conversation without asking about your watches, right?
Mhm.
Where do you think your collection is going to move towards?
So I think I think my collection is gonna be still very. It's gonna be probably, I think, in the next few years, probably 60% AP.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, mainly independents, I think.
What is it now? Percentage-wise AP?
It's like 80,
80, yeah.
around 80. And so, yeah, like probably shifting. I'm still going to buy as many APs. I'm just going to try to buy more independents as well, right?
Which is your least favorite AP in your collection?
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, because I think it's an easier one if you say like,
Okay.
you know. But what's your least favorite one and why?
Huh.
Yeah, good question, huh?
That's a really good question.
Yeah. It's like talking about your kids.
Can I name six? The IP?
No, IP is one of my
I've never
favorites.
seen you wear that one, man.
Yeah, but it's one of my favorites for sure.
You still got 15500?
Yeah.
That one.
You wouldn't mind losing it, basically. That's what he's going to say.
No, like if it were, because I had a 15400 and I sold that,
Yeah.
and if I still had that, it would probably be that.
Mm.
Because my only complaint about the 15500 was I was like, why is there an automatic on the dial?
Mm.
So they got rid of that. So I
okay.
actually really like the 15500 because of that. And so it would probably be the 15400.
Mm.
But because the thing is, it's a hard question because every watch that I buy I really like. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy it, right? But yeah, it would probably be a 15400 if I still had it. Watches that I currently have.
Well, which one gets the least amount of
Yeah.
wear right now?
Least attention.
That's a good.
Yeah,
That's good.
the A series for sure.
Oh.
But that doesn't count.
That's so good though.
That doesn't count. Because you don't wear that for obvious reasons, which is it's a vintage watch.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the modern ones you have.
modern ones probably actually the 15202 salmon dial.
I was thinking
Oh,
that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot you even had that one.
It would be that one.
Why?
I guess.
Is it hard to match?
Well, it's white gold, so it's not steel, right?
It's a gorgeous watch,
Yeah.
but I just think the 15202 IP is a better watch.
Okay.
Cool.
Like after having both and seeing both, if I had to pick one out of the two, I'd pick the 15202 IP any day.
Mm.
Like no comparison.
Right.
And so, yeah, because the salmon sometimes turns very orange, like a deep
Very
orange.
yellowy.
And then a yellow. It's like it's cool because it changes depending on the lighting, but it just changes a lot.
Mm.
And sometimes it looks like an orange dial, not a salmon dial.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we're going to go on to the quick fire, which aren't many, and then we're going to round this up.
Okay.
Right, so number one, why do you just wear black?
Because this goes back to when I was
Must be
fat,
Batman.
right?
Yeah.
Because when I was fat,
To be honest, I do know why, but I just want you to say
yeah,
it.
because black is a slimming color. That's the only reason. And also
Yeah,
because
but you're not that fat now. Why
No.
can't
You're
you
not
change
fat,
into
yeah.
like
I get your
more
white
colours?
Gray,
t-shirt.
like gray.
I
Move up the
or
No.
black in another color?
I wear like white sometimes, right? But
Can I just
when
say,
you feel
like,
skinny.
because you're a bit pear shaped. Why don't you wear black on the bottom and a different color on the top?
well, I'm pear shaped now. When I lose weight, I'm not. Because when I gain weight, it's like
Yeah.
always like, you know. But when I lose weight, it's also there. My top,
Okay.
you know. And so, I just like black. I mean, for me, like I focus on watches. I don't care about like
Okay.
Yeah.
my this T-shirt costs like 30 Hong Kong dollars or something.
Mm.
Like I don't care about my T-shirt. I don't need to wear like a Gucci shirt
Yeah.
or whatever. Like
Alright.
I don't.
You
It's
do
not.
like-
It's
you
not
know,
what I'm
yeah,
interested
Stop
in.
lying. You are a walking logo.
How?
Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. God. Okay. So I think you answered this.
200 pounds, right?
How big were you at your fattest? Did you actually write that down, Alex?
No.
It's like 220 pounds.
Oh, okay.
He just listens, Daniel.
Exactly. I talk with
Have you
my
not
mouth.
noticed that he
Like,
writes everything
Alex
down?
is fanboy, like
Yeah.
having
He just
a fan.
listens.
listens.
I
He
listen.
listens.
All right. Number 3. How did you trick Jasmine in dating? 'Cause you're clearly batting way above your average there, bro. Like, fat or not fat or anything, there's something not right there.
You know,
how did you do it? Come on.
Jasmine? Well, first of all,
Was it turntables?
no. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Jasmine. You're amazing.
Jasmine, you're amazing.
Jasmine,
And I
you're
love you.
amazing.
But
Be Jasmine. You are amazing.
no. I mean,
I gave you about 100 brownie points there, man.
it took it was hard. Like it was like a 3-4 month like constant like
Barrage.
yeah
Spamming.
like of like you know it was like it was hard.
Listen to me.
You know?
Right.
But I met her as soon as I saw her. I was like, I see myself dating you.
Well,
just
to
because
be honest, I don't think that's very hard.
Yeah, she's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite movie of all time?
Hard question. I mean,
He looks like
You
John
watch a lot of
Wick.
movies.
kind of.
You're more box set guy.
I really like
Gossip
older
Girl.
movies. No, like Shutter Island, I guess, would be one of them.
Oh, that was great.
Love Shutter
Yeah.
Island. Yeah, I like the older. The thing is with me is like after I see a movie, I kind of just forget what happens in it after like a few months. You know,
Okay.
it's really hard for a movie that to
So you don't
actually
listen
resonate
either?
with me,
Mhm.
huh?
So you don't listen either.
No,
That was
no, I do, and it's just because movies nowadays are not made like movies like
back
in the
then.
early 2000s
True.
or in the 90s or
True.
80s.
That was like a golden era, man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I love Star Wars, right? Like just
Yeah.
because my childhood, a lot of it was Star Wars. And so I'm a Star Wars fanboy. I love Shutter Island, the Godfather movies are great. Shawshank Redemption, obviously classic. But yeah, movies that are I like psychological movies that make you think, I guess. Like
Inception.
I liked Inception a lot. Yeah.
All right.
That's about it.
We'll move on to books. Your favorite book of all time?
Favorite book? Depends.
AP complications.
No, so it depends on
My biography, Austen Chu.
no. So professionally and like personally, I guess, like one book that I recommend every single person on earth to read is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
All right.
I'm so not
Okay,
surprised.
give us one quote, Alex.
Saying anyway, next.
That
I'd
book,
see Alex is bursting to try and probably
Yeah.
give you a follow-on book to read from that. He says, "Oh, if you've read that, you
it's a
should
great.
read
It's
this one."
great. It's a really short read, and it's just it's rules that you know,
Mhm.
but if you focus on it,
Mhm.
you'll do great in life.
Okay.
Second book, I really like Murakami. I know that's like kind of cliche, but I
Mhm.
think he's a great writer. I like Kafka on the Shore by Murakami. I haven't read it in years, so maybe if I read it now, I'll be like, "This, what the fuck is this shit?" Because I read it when I was like 16. But I like yeah, it's about. I don't read as much as I should. I've read a lot of books,
Mhm.
but I don't read as much as I should.
I think these two certainly. When I point to Lung and Alex, they do,
Hmm.
and I certainly see the benefits, in that. So I think I'll do more.
No, I agree.
I have a little rule. If anyone who doesn't like reading, right, just read 25 pages a day. That's what you have to do.
All right, person that doesn't have internet at
Yeah,
all.
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
It's-
But
it's
that's why. That's why.
Yeah, I said I was going to read. Yeah, I'm not going to do what you just said.
Yeah, but 25 pages a
just
day
don't
is
make it so
nothing.
hard.
No,
to
it's,
do
it's
that.
nothing.
There's nothing.
Right,
I
the
always
last-
I always read on planes though. Like I don't usually
magazine or
watch movies.
Horoloupe?
No. No, I would buy a book. I would buy a book in the airport and read it on the plane.
Yeah, okay.
And then
Yeah, or you're promoting the Revolution magazine or the Rake, yeah. Right, last question. If you could eat any food without the fear of getting fat, you just didn't put calories on, right?
Mm.
What would it be?
oh my god, it'd be so.
That's
many
such a great
different
question,
foods. It's
huh?
a great
Pizza
question.
or something.
I'll say like
Yeah.
top 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sushi.
Top 3. No, because sushi you don't get fat. You really don't.
You get full quite
Okay,
quickly,
we
actually, with
gotta-
sushi.
You get
But-
full quite quickly, and it's not that fattening.
Dude, try eating it for a week.
I ate sushi for straight up sushi
Yeah.
and chirashi bowls
Yeah.
for 3 months, and I lost like 10 kilos.
Wow.
All right.
Check that out.
Gotta try that.
I probably got mercury poisoning, but like,
Yeah. He's probably saying that as he's opening these stores.
no. But
Shoot
so
Japanese.
it would definitely be something like I love fried chicken so much. Fried
Oh,
chicken.
really?
I love fried chicken.
So KFC.
I mean, there's it
Better
depends.
quality, basically.
Depends. Like Korean fried chicken's really good. KFC's good. Even McDonald's fried chicken's great. Just fried chicken in general. Asian,
Okay.
like Chinese fried chicken.
Talking about that, yeah. Do you think that the KFC is different to Hong Kong?
I think the KFC in China is the best KFC on
Yeah.
earth.
Oh, thank you.
I
Oh
don't
my
think
God,
so.
I told you.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's so
I just
good.
don't think it's on the same
No,
level, man.
it's so different in China.
I think it's so good in China.
So good.
But so fried chicken, burgers, pizza.
All right.
Okay. Right. So that kind of rounds up this latest episode of the Waiting List podcast. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Thank you,
So
Austin, for
thank you
coming.
for doing it because
Yeah.
I know how private you are, and we did touch on some topics that were close to home.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that, and I know you don't always take these interviews.
So Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
for
a lot
having me.
coming on.
Had a great time.
All right, see you guys on the next one.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Waiting List podcast. Hit the subscribe button, and the next episode will come straight to your phone as soon as it's ready. Whilst I'm here, please remember to leave a nice review and follow us on Instagram at the Waiting List Podcast.